Nicky got me rolling, got me shaking, got me aching, got me twitching, got me snitching, got me making a fuss. Nicky got me bowled over, got me over his shoulder, got me slapping, got me whacking, got me smacking my lips. Oh, Nicolas Cage, oh, Nicolas Cage, he's an international treasure of ours, yeah.
Welcome back to Nicolas Cage, International Treasure, the
from
hottest podcast on whatever fucking streaming site we're on.
We're available on
The Void.
available in all good
We haven't decided yet.
shops.
Porn shops, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Go to the red room in the back, and you'll find us there.
The dimly lit, promiscuous room.
That's where we are now. Yeah,
Delicious.
we're right beside the booths where you kind of like if you go to a clothing shop, you've got a room where you can
changing
try
room.
where you can try clothes on.
You can
In porn shops, you can try the porn out and see if you think it's worth your
try the
while.
interracial threesome or the
cock blaster 9000. That's or cock blaster 9002.
What does the cock blaster 9000 do to you?
It blasts your cock,
9,000 times,
at least.
almost.
Yeah, even if you've already finished, it's already committed to the whole 9,000 thing, and it doesn't stop. It keeps on going.
That one's not really that well rated, surprisingly.
You
Yeah,
know what else
no.
is not well rated?
Is it this film?
That's a lie because this film is quite well rated.
Yeah, I don't think it would be bad.
61%, wasn't it?
2005
That's not that great.
film Lord of War, directed by Andrew Niccol, written by Andrew Niccol as well, starring
Multi-talented.
the only one we care about, Nicolas Cage, starring the only one we don't care about, Jared Leto,
Fuck Jared Leto.
and Bridget Moynihan. Synopsis is...
Ian Holm. Don't forget Ian Holm.
Synopsis is Nicky Boy finds new purpose playing all-American scumbag Yuri Orlov, except he's not all-American and he might not be a scumbag?
Oh, he's certainly a scumbag.
But he might not be.
No, but that's
He
the
is.
whole thing is that he's kind of I think he's in denial, really, because he sort of kids himself on about.
Is that... Because the film paints gun running. The whole film is about gun running.
Yeah, arms dealing.
And the film paints it as this sort of fucking luxurious... It's like a Wolf of Wall Street type thing where it's like... It's if I didn't do it, someone else would do it, as Nicolas Cage says in the film. And I don't know if the film is towing that line of morality, like that sort of that argument. If someone didn't operate the nuclear button, someone else would. That kind of thing, or if it's morally grey and it's just kind of showing it how it is.
I think it does. It does paint it in a bad light because obviously what actually happens to Yuri in the film, like his brother ends up dying, his fucking wife and his kids leave him, and he genuinely has a pretty shit time near the end of the film. But I think it's also one of the, like, in the bit of text at the last bit of the film that's on about the biggest arms dealers in the world are the UK, US, what was it, France,
Russia,
Germany,
China.
yeah,
It's the
4 large seats in the
UN.
in the UN, and it's fucking true that, I mean, he's just one. He was just sort of one guy. But you've also got... I think he's at least sort of honest about what he does. But the government sort of get away with how much... Like, if you look at the UK government, for example. So the UK government sell weapons to Saudi Arabia, who use those weapons to bomb Yemen, whilst the UK also provide aid to Yemen.
How they paint it in the film is that at the very end of the film, Nicolas Cage gets caught out and he gets captured by Ethan Hawke, who's been hunting him down this whole time. And what Nick Cage says to him is basically, I will be let go. You have me, but I will be let go. My brother may be dead, my family may have disowned me, but I will be let go. My wife may have left me. And kind of what he says is that the US is the arms dealer, but there's certain people they deal to who they can't be seen dealing to. And so I have to be the freelancer who deals to these countries, the enemies of the enemies, who the US can't be seen dealt to. And part of that moral dilemma is that, he has to be the one to do it. He's not a bad guy. Like this, if he wasn't doing it, someone else would be doing it. It's not a very strong argument. I think that it's still not a great thing to be doing. I think the film knows that, because the scene prior to that is Nick Cage and Jared Leto dealing guns to
warlords in
Sierra Leone faction who's about to commit a massacre. And I think the film knows that. I think the film is aware that they're towing the line of morality, and they're on the black and white of it.
I wonder if it's trying to make a commentary on the international arms trade. Not specific, like Nicolas Cage's character is just there to facilitate that perspective, right? His character's the one selling arms, but it's mostly talking about the act of moving arms from country to country, how, there's all these big players. There's the former Soviet bloc, there's the American government, there's the CIA and stuff, and how they're just as big, they're bigger arms dealers than him by a large amount, and how despite what he's doing is seen as very clearly evil, I think, in a lot of ways, because I mean, you were talking about if it's not him, it's someone else. That's a way to justify it. It's not. That's how he justifies it. Yeah,
through the film.
Okay, sure. But it's not really a good action.
No.
But it's just there to say that, yes, he's doing that as a character, but there are entire industries built for this.
Part of the complication in that argument is that he is a Ukrainian refugee who's coming out of that sort of USSR bloc, and he is a part of, in New York, he is a part of a life where he has nothing, and he wants to make a name for himself. And
I was trying to figure out so did he say when they left? How old he was when they left?
I think he was a kid. I think his brother might not have been born.
Yeah.
If it's set, so
his father was born, because there's a scene where Jared Leto traces out Ukraine cocaine. And so he says he's young, but you remember.
So that was, so it's set in the 80s, or at least it starts in the 80s. And say he's sort of late 20s, early 30s. That would put it at sort of late 50s, early 60s. So that's just coming out of. So Stalin died in the 50s, and then it was Gorbachev. So was it?
Well,
no, it was Khrushchev. No, Nikita Khrushchev.
Right.
So that was very much in the fucking heart of the Cold War, when Russia was very much still a fucking communist hellhole, where freedom of expression was not a thing.
We don't talk about politics.
No, it's history. It's history. It's history. Yeah.
All I know is that there's a statue of Lenin which gets toppled when he's in Ukraine, and he buys guns when the saw line is sawed, and the Western Bloc is de-USSR'd, and he's in Ukraine, and he's selling the guns of Ukraine and the helicopters of Ukraine off to other people.
It's not just Ukraine.
Lenin on the ground, and he's there on his phone sitting on top of it.
Well, they weren't the ones of Ukraine. They were the weapons of the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union didn't exist anymore because Ukraine was no longer subservient to Moscow. So they were just sort of guns and helicopters that were sort of just
laying about,
floating about. Yeah, because there was no one in charge.
Well, the Ukrainian government or the nascent Ukrainian government was trying to figure out what to do. It's like, he was coming in to take the opportunity of like changing the numbers of arms that there were in storage.
Which actually it is that part of the story is true. I don't know if you guys know, but this is based on a real guy.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was based on a real
arms dealer.
individual.
Yeah, so it was.
I googled Yuri Orlov, and apparently he's a physicist. But
I've heard that.
Based
Built off this
another
guy called Viktor Bout.
Yeah.
So Viktor Antolyevich Bout, who was he still is, a Russian arms dealer.
He still is.
Well,
no, he's been in prison.
He's still alive, but he was convicted of criminal intent to traffic arms and conspiracy to kill. So he's been charged conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals, conspiracy to kill U.S. officers and employees, conspiracy to acquire and export a missile system designed to destroy aircraft, conspiracy to provide material support or resources to a designated foreign terrorist organisation. And he's currently serving 25 years in federal prison, 5 years of supervised
in Thailand,
parole.
Isn't it? Or is he been
He's at
America?
USP Marion currently, which is a medium security federal prison in Williamson County, Illinois.
He got arrested in Thailand.
Yeah.
And they must have been able to actually prosecute him in Thailand.
Yeah, he was arrested
he
in
probably
Thailand
got
on
extradited.
terrorism charges by the Thai police in cooperation with American authorities and requested his extradition under the Extradition Act with Thailand, which was eventually mandated by the Thai High Court in August 2010. So that happened after this film was made.
Right.
But
So,
yeah.
so he must have signed off on this film.
Uh-huh.
You know, well, maybe not. Because
No,
it's
they
not
didn't use his
directly
name.
him, but it is based off him. So maybe there was some sort, because they must have done research on this film.
And after he gets out of prison, which will be in... When was he convicted? 2011. So that will be in 2036. He will be let out. He will then be on supervised parole until 2041. And as also part of the criminal penalty, he had to forfeit $15 million US.
Probably has more than that.
Yeah, he probably had all his assets seized, anything that he made from that. But yeah, he used air transport companies to smuggle weapons from the collapse of communism from Eastern Europe to Africa and the Middle East during the 1990s and the early 2000s. And he was nicknamed the Merchant of Death and the Sanctions Buster for his reported wide-reaching operations, extensive clientele, and willingness to bypass embargoes.
And as we see from Nick Cage's performance, he does all that and more. He has a little tanker filled with a little...
It's a cargo ship,
crate filled
container,
with fake passports, fake briefcases filled with all you
Different
need.
identity for every day.
Guns on the wall for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just cinema flair. Like, you know, there's guns on the wall. He's a gun runner. He has guns on the wall.
Well, he hangs
Is
art
that
on-
his favourite guns?
Or were they like...
It could just be the merchandise.
You know, like how some people with businesses, they'll like
keep saying.
maybe frame the first like £5 note they ever received,
The
or
first sale.
is this maybe it's to symbolise milestones in his career.
But I think it is a very good film.
I fucking loved it. The thing that shows that I enjoyed it is I have very few notes.
Definitely.
Because-
I took notes for the first maybe 15 minutes and then
I think that's genuinely my first. Yeah, most of the notes that I've got at the start are like pretty much just talking about the opening shot. Like, see the one when it's panning over the bullets, and then it comes to the back
got
of him.
shown
The
that in
CGI.
RE.
Were you?
Were we not in the same RE class?
Weren't
Maybe not. Religious education for
It
anyone
depends
who
who was teaching us.
or Miss. We'll beat those. It was an RE teacher, but they showed us the intro to Lord of War, and that was the first time I ever saw it. And the intro, if you haven't seen it, is this kind of badly CGI'd intro of the life of a bullet.
When did the film come out?
I thought it was quite cool.
2005.
Then it was well CGI'd for the time.
It was quite a nice fucking intro.
Yeah.
Because it goes from like that factory in like whatever Soviet country it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
to being processed by soldiers of African warlords.
And then ending up in a child soldier's head.
Yeah.
Fun. And as we have seen, Nick Cage befriends, or Yuri Orlov befriends, the president of
Liberia.
Dictator.
Liberia, Andre something.
Baptiste.
Andre Baptiste Senior.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if he's a real historical figure.
Oh yeah.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
Is he
Andre-
I was
notorious?
surprised that he was a character in this.
Right.
He's notorious.
Right. Okay. Why is he notorious?
Wait,
for
wait,
how
wait,
he
wait,
Lots
did
of
things?
massacres.
Right. Okay.
Wait, so no, it doesn't. So he's not real, but Andre Baptiste isn't real.
Right.
But
it's based off.
based,
Oh
I
wait,
believe
did I
it's
mix? I know the
based
Baptiste.
off-
Right?
Charles Taylor, Charles
I've heard of
MacArthur
Charles.
Gankey Taylor, a Liberian politician and convicted warlord who served as the 22nd president of Liberia from 2nd of August 1997 until his resignation on the 11th of August 2003 as a result of the Second Liberian Civil War and growing
He
international pressure.
resigned. That's
resigned.
unusual to hear.
That's
that
very.
He wasn't fucking.
Normally they're
strung
fucking.
up and
Normally they're taken
Right,
out.
so I was completely wrong. I was sure Baptiste was a real guy.
Charles Taylor. Okay.
But no,
Yeah,
he's,
Charles Taylor.
he's serving 50 years in prison.
He's still in prison.
Yeah, HMP Franklin. In County Durham.
Oh.
What?
He's in prison in fucking Durham.
He's in fucking. Maybe we could get an interview.
Fuck yeah. I want to speak to this guy.
Right.
Victims is over 100,000.
Jesus Christ.
Do you want to hear his convictions?
Yeah.
Crimes against humanity, including acts of terrorism, murder, atrocities against personal dignity, rape, slavery, mutilation, use of children under the age of 15 in armed forces or groups, or
That's
use
shown
them
in
to
the
actively
film.
participate in hostilities, looting, and other acts inhuman. Yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. Yeah, please let us talk to you, Charles.
And yet Boris Johnson is still in charge. Anyway, we don't talk about current events.
I was mixing it up with
Idi Amin?
Jean-Baptiste Bagaza.
Who is?
He was a dictator of a place called Burundi in
Burundi,
Central Africa.
Burundi,
Burundi
yeah.
in Central Africa from 76 to 87.
Yeah, I thought you were confusing him with Idi Amin. Everyone
I knew
confuses him.
Baptiste, but I clearly it was not Andrew Baptiste.
Yeah, African warlords, eh?
Mm.
Is it? Do you mean the one in Last King of Scotland?
Last King of Scotland, yeah.
Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, Idi Amin was. What country was that?
What, was that another
See,
fictional dictator?
that's the thing. I wish we'd been taught more about African geography.
Yeah.
Is it because I know fucking practically none. I know some of like the lesser ones, like see whenever I'm watching fucking Pointless or something like that, and it's name an African nation like Burkina Faso.
Read some Chinua Achebe. He's good in his sort of his deconstruction of African stereotypes. African author who challenged Heart of Darkness. You know, fuck's his name? Joseph Conrad's novel, which really demonized Africa in like the 1900s. Chinua Achebe is good and is challenging of that. Anyway,
Uganda. He
Uganda.
was the third president of Uganda. Yeah.
Nick Cage skirts the line of moralism, but doesn't really. But the film really paints it as he is skirting the line, and I think it does a really
He's
good
skirting
job.
his own
in that.
line, I think.
Yeah, it's where. Do you guys think he's like the movie is just trying to portray him as having a personal battle? I don't think he is, to be honest, because he gets over the death of his brother very fucking quickly.
I know. I
Does
think
he?
he is. No, I think he is because he makes an effort to go legit. Because at a part of the film, he makes an effort to start selling oil. He's still exploiting, but he's selling oil. He's selling timber.
That's the
He's,
thing,
like,
is that
doing it
he's just
legit.
trying to find another way to exploit
Yeah,
developing
but
nations.
he's still good at it. but he gets drawn back in, and I think that's
by
the moral
Andre Baptiste, because he's on a visit for the UN, to the UN
to disregard the falsifying, the rigging of voting in his country. But I think there genuinely is a bit of a moral dilemma in his character arc. I think it's well done.
He's justifying it for himself the whole time, which is
yeah, definitely.
But there's a lot of moments where, like, something terrible happen. Like the first time when his brother, they see the children being lined up to be shot.
Yeah, and
the brother's going to go in, and that's what fucked him up. It's not our
fight.
Yeah, that's what fucked him up, because the younger brother, which is Jared Leto's character, he starts doing the drugs from then on. I'm pretty sure that's him trying to deal with the trauma from then on.
And the trauma is
he saw something
explained.
Horrible and he couldn't deal with it.
The drug addiction is never explained.
He never explains it to...
But it only... it doesn't only start after that, because he drinks when he's a chef in the Jewish restaurant. When he's making borscht, he's still drinking on the job. Which may be just a part of being a chef.
Trying to find a chef that either doesn't smoke or isn't an alcoholic is fucking impossible.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that you...
So there's maybe a 50-50.
Yeah, he was drinking, but I don't think it was portrayed to the same extent as it is after that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought
maybe he
became very
a troubled
fucking...
person, a troubled... emotional.
Yeah, maybe he's just got a very addictive personality.
Yeah. But I do think that tipped him over the edge.
But he does sort of fall into the grips of addiction very quickly, or either that or the film's just not clear on the actual.
There's really good repetition with him going into rehab, though. With the difficulty of Nick Cage at the start when Jared Leto goes into rehab of doling out the cocaine before he goes in,
and then it becomes
routine.
Habitual. Almost,
like he gives him cocaine. He goes into rehab. For some reason, I remember the film as him going into rehab again, and Nick Cage refusing to give him coke.
Because normally he gives him a little bump before he goes in.
But it's well done. I don't think Jared Leto's bad in this. Obviously,
no.
There's difficulties with Jared Leto as a social figure.
Do you know what? The guy can act.
Yeah. Definitely.
The guy's good.
Yeah.
But the thing is just... I think I probably just get too caught up in like the stuff that he does out with acting and how he's just a bit...
He leads a cult in his name and surrounds himself. Yeah.
Fuck, I didn't know this.
He basically got a whole bunch of his fans to pay for some sort of island trip. This may be not quite right, but it's along the lines of him basically bringing a load of fans along to him on an island and them having some sort of like festival, and he was the sort of Jesus figure at the centre of it.
That's kind of like, you know that bit in fucking Pirates of the Caribbean 3 when
no,
or is it the second one when he's
got the eyes painted on
when he's when he's on the island with the cannibals?
Oh, right.
Think he's a god.
It's weird.
Kind of like, it's how I'm kind of imagining it.
Obviously,
it's just Jared Leto
and
like a throne of bones.
Yeah,
fucking with eyes painted all over his body.
It reminds me of Jonestown.
Was there orgies involved?
You don't know,
Probably.
And you don't know the guy, and you don't know any of this.
Yeah, like a lot of the shit about Jared Leto was made up. Like, see that fucking thing with
him playing Joker.
Suicide Squad, saying that he sent condoms and snakes to people. That was shit he just said in interviews when he was clearly just completely fucking done with all the boring questions. He was like, "So how did you prepare for the role?" "Oh yeah, I sent and used condoms to my co-stars." And I think it was just him just being a bit tongue-in-cheek, and the journalists have clearly just ran with that.
Yeah, there's that, and there's the sort of the human side of being able to empathise, but there's also the thing about him surrounding himself with a bunch of people
cult of his own
who love him, like, and that sort of side of it. We don't know him. We don't know what he's like.
Jared could be a lovely guy.
He could be. We don't know.
We just know, like,
but who we're here to talk about is Nicolas Cage.
Is his brother.
Who we
Nicky.
would go to an island.
Oh yeah. All
That's
right.
because Nicolas, he'd probably just be like, we're just going to sit around and read poetry.
Enjoy the
We'll
sun.
maybe have some wine. And we'll just, just enjoy the sunset. Have a nice time.
Do you have any cageisms for us?
I have
Some nice lines.
So I think the first one we'll go to is when they're on the whatever that fucking boat's called and they change it to the Kono.
Yeah.
The Cristal.
That's the one.
Is it Cristal?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Cristal, yeah. So they're on the Cristal and it's when they've sent this guy, this poor fellow down to paint over the name and then change it to the Kono. He says, "Faster, or I'll send your ass in."
Yeah, that was good.
I thought that was a good one. There was most of the cageisms that I can think of from any of the films is normally revolve around him shouting, but this isn't one of them. This was when he was, I think it was maybe was it his first trip to Liberia?
Right.
When they've got the two ladies
Prostitutes.
I don't know if they're
if they're
prostitutes.
prostitutes
I think
or
they're
they're.
I don't
just,
think money was passing hands.
maybe they're
though.
just.
Yeah, but he's the president. who
I know, but
hired
wasn't
these
it the
women
ladies
to-
in the Star-Spangled uniform?
No, it wasn't them.
Was
no,
it not?
I think
Okay.
they're just part of, either they're prostitutes or they're just part of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not horde, not
Oh, harem.
harem, yes.
Yeah.
Harem, that's the word. Yeah, part of Andre's harem of women that he has decided are his.
Yeah, okay.
And if they leave,
the,
he kills them.
The implication is that there's a big AIDS epidemic.
Yeah, and
Yeah, massive one.
yeah, you're thinking, is Nick really just not wanting to bang because he doesn't want to get AIDS, or because he doesn't want to cheat on his wife?
Ah, no, absolutely not.
His
cheating on
wife, who he
That
essentially
he's-
stalks,
That
like,
he's fucking fantasized about for
like
fucking
he buys
years.
out a hotel and fakes a photo shoot to get in with her. It's like severe stalking.
But it's romantic.
I'm just gonna say I would.
Of course. There's a beat.
We're there, but in Liberia.
Yes. So when he's sort of they're rubbing up on him.
Alright, what do you want us to do for you?
They're potentially AIDS infected bodies. They're rubbing up on him. They're touching his junk. They're trying to undress him, but taking his tie off, and he's like sort of fighting this battle. Like, oh, I've really got the horn now, but I don't want to throw it in you, ladies, because I'm
Trying to sound
married
real fun.
and I don't have AIDS, and I'd like to keep it that way. And they're like, oh,
He doesn't mind cheating on his wife, but he just doesn't want.
He
to
just
get
doesn't
AIDS.
want the AIDS.
Because if he has AIDS, he has to admit to his wife that he has AIDS, and through that, he has to admit that he's cheating on her.
And then
He's not a good guy.
Then he'll potentially give
It's
his
not
wife
just
AIDS,
that.
and then he's
And there's a weird thing where one of the girls, or maybe it's later, they're talking about, aren't you worried that you're going to catch something? And they say, why worry about something that can kill you in
That's
10
the
years
same
when
scene.
something can kill... Yeah, I know.
In which there is a cageism.
The cageism
Sorry.
is when the girls are like, what can we do? What can we do? How can we make you happy? And he says, by leaving. And then it just cuts to the door fucking slam, and then them outside thinking,
I think
what? Why did he not give in to our charms?
what I'd see as a cageism in this film is when he's back in Liberia later on in the film, and he's at fucking wit's end. It's after he's had to ditch a supply cargo and get it just fucking eaten by.
Is this after he's had the brown?
Yes, and he's wandering around the shanties of Liberia.
Brown, for those who don't know, is cocaine mixed with gunpowder.
And he takes that, and then he's wandering about, he's fucking out of it. He plays football with some Liberian kids, and then some, like, militia soldier holds a gun to his head. And I think one of the scenes I thought was quite Nick Cage was him just being like, go on, do it. And he holds the gun to his head, and he's like, go on, fucking shoot me. That sort of thing.
That's great. That scene was good.
But my final cageism is It's actually right before that. So what's happening is they're flying a cargo plane into Liberia?
I thought it was Sierra Leone.
No, it's into Liberia, but they're taking it to Sierra Leone, which he doesn't know about.
They're flying into Liberia. So it's Nick Cage on a cargo plane with 2 pilots, and here comes Ethan Hawke in a jet, saying, right, fucking...
Ethan Hawke is part of Interpol, which runs that day.
Fucking pull over, lads. I'm wanting to check your boot. And they're like, okay. Nick Cage is like, the only chance we've got is don't land at the airport. Just land on that fucking road there. So they land on the road, which gives them time, because then Ethan Hawke has to go back to the base because he can't land on the road because, you know, he's bound by the law, which Nick Cage isn't.
I am the law.
So Nick Cage and the pilots land on this road. The pilots then fuck off because they're like, we don't want to be near this because they've got lots of weaponry and no permits. So Nicolas Cage's way of solving it is he's like, Ethan Hawke's going to turn up here. I don't have permits for these. Let's get rid of them. So he just shouts, guns, 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 yes! As like people are,
hooray, guns,
hooray!
He stole the cages.
Loads of these Sierra Leoneans basically just come on, fill their boots and leave. And that means that when Ethan Hawke turns up with all his boys, there's no evidence. All they have is a plane.
There's this great scene between Ethan Hawke and Nicolas Cage after that, where Ethan Hawke is like, I've got you. I know I have you. And yet you're just one tiny step ahead of me. And yet soon it'll all come crashing down. And so just to fuck you over, I'm going to keep you here in the Liberian fucking plains. just to fucking wait.
I'm allowed to hold you for 24 hours.
And then you see this aircraft, this fucking Boeing,
It's not a Boeing, it's an Antonov.
There you go. Antonov get stripped down to nothing. Whilst Nicolas Cage is just sitting there. And then they turn back up and Ethan Hawke lets them go. And that all comes back to Ethan Hawke. I think the next time... Well, Ethan Hawke is in it when they're rooting through Nick Cage's garbage.
And also when Ethan Hawke goes to Nick Cage's wife.
Oh, shit, yeah.
And
That's a really well-played scene.
Yeah. Which she eventually does give into.
Yeah.
She does, she sells him out.
But it's like Ethan Hawke proposes to her that Nick Cage is actually a fucking terrible guy, and then
the thing is, like, there's lots of sort of going back to. She is also a Ukrainian immigrant who grew up in Little Odessa, which is it Brighton Beach or Brighton Bay? It's in New York, but it's basically where a lot of the Ukrainian immigrants settled. Odessa being a city in Ukraine, and her parents were killed in a robbery, and Ethan Hawke says that the weapons that were used to kill your parents would have been purchased from someone like your husband.
And it's very like logically like the way you would think of that as a wife of this person is like, fuck you, like, get out of my house. Yeah. And they play it like that in the film, and it's really well done. And she fucking sends them out, but the next time you see her is she's sitting on the bed naked, and she can't wear the clothes, she can't wear the jewellery, she can't live in this house.
Yeah, she's thinking about it.
Because all of this stuff has been bought with money that has been made from killing people, from causing murder and causing genocide, all that.
It's all tainted.
It's really well done.
I
like this film.
I really fucking liked the film as well. I just enjoyed watching it, and I thought that Nick's performance in it was great, and it sort of hints to me at, like,
our conclusion has long been that we haven't found a film where Nicolas Cage has been a bad actor.
No,
he varied? I think he fit the role really well, and he did it well, and I didn't notice anything varied.
He didn't sort of go full Cage in this.
No.
He didn't go full Cage, and I think the film was better for it because I don't know if it would have.
There was a
fit
few silly
necessarily.
moments that were very nice. Where it was kind as you said in the airport in the airplane in Liberia, where he kind of went for that manic phase, you know. Where he was
And
just
also
trying to
when
get
he's
rid of
on
the kids.
when he's on cocaine,
Yeah.
when he's on cocaine or drunk, he goes like a bit. There's a hint of Cage,
Yeah.
just a smidgen, and what's the word I'm looking for?
Extravagance.
Yes, but genuinely, like I'll go out on a limb here. I think that Nicolas Cage is, at the moment, probably one of the most interesting actors.
Yeah, and
Because he's just got such a unique, such a style that's unique to him.
Also, he has a ridiculously long list of films.
And he's got a fucking huge range,
and we'll
man.
go through all of them, every single one of them. We'll
That's
go
what you're
through.
here for, listeners.
But-
While we drink and prattle on
I think the issue is
Nicolas Cage.
with Hollywood as it is that he hasn't been seen to do a blockbuster in a while, and his blockbuster recently has been The Unbearable Weight of Massive
Is that a
Talent.
blockbuster?
Yes, because it's been released at massive big cinemas with a long runtime.
Yeah,
That's a blockbuster.
That's the thing. Who's the production
know.
company that's done it?
I don't know how
No
much
idea.
it's made, but prior to that, he's been doing indie films, and we covered a few of them on that podcast we never did. And that's all he's been doing really. Is these kind of
Oh, it's
indie films.
Lionsgate Films. Yeah,
That's
that's
huge.
big. Lionsgate Films is fucking huge, man.
But the issue is that he has been doing these films that people wouldn't consider big blockbusters. But he's been doing some really fucking interesting films, like this weird fucking post-apocalyptic one that I really want to see, which we'll do at some point.
Let's see what the algorithm decides.
We'll see.
There's a couple of them that, like the later on ones that he's done more recently, that I know that we've all watched before, and I'm looking forward to watching again. Because I think we'll probably pick up some more on the second watch.
Mandy, I'd love to see.
Mandy is
I
fucking
watched it
sick.
several times. But
I just
yeah.
want the fucking axe. I just want the axe.
even Color Out of Space, as like B movie as that was, it was still good. Like he put in a fucking performance.
Mm-hmm.
He said at the same time.
Yeah, we did.
Jinx.
Ooh. Well, thank you for joining us again on Nicolas Cage International Treasure. Next week,
By us, who are
all four Prats.
At least four
There's
Prats.
at least four Prats.
No.
Of which there are three of us.
There are
today.
three of us.
So
There's
it's
one
not-
that's gone to bed,
but-
this one was working too late.
But at least four Prats are in this vicinity.
You can join us soon on something else that we'll disclose next week.
Because we don't know it.
Next week, join us back here for one of John's favourite Nicolas Cage films.
There is
G-Force.
G-Force.
Oh right,
Oh,
G-Force.
shit, yeah.
Okay,
I've
yeah.
not seen G-Force, so I'm thoroughly looking forward to it.
Thank you very much for
No.
joining us. Take care, sleep well, bye bye, kiss kiss.
Bye.
Got me shaking, got me aching, got me twitching, got me snitching, got me making a fuss. Nicky got me bowled over, got me over his shoulder, got me slapping, got me whacking, got me smacking my lips. Oh, Nicolas Cage, oh, Nicolas Cage, he's an international treasure of ours, yeah. Oh, Nicolas Cage.
At least 4 Prats.